Hey guys, it's Roscoe on Space Coast. I just want to talk a little bit about the cultural significance and impact of the MCU and Avengers Endgame, because this is the cap, as it were, to a whole saga, 22 movies so far, plus there'll be Spider-Man Far From Home tacked onto this phase at the end. And we've not seen anything like this previously, this narrative arc that builds. The only thing that is similar that came before, and which obviously Marvel has learned from, is of course the Star Wars franchise. And they have done that with the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and now of course with the sequel trilogy and the standalone movies as well. You know, building an entire franchise that is successful. But 22 movies, that is an incredible achievement. And to finish it like this, and the box office numbers for Avengers Endgame for this weekend at $1.2 billion. I know that includes several days before the weekend, but even so, that is huge. That'll be a very long time before that gets topped. And I would not be at all surprised if this movie makes $3 billion in total. It certainly should make $2 billion the way it's going gangbusters at the moment. And when a movie is that big, it has a cultural impact. Like the Star Wars movies did, like The Force Awakens did back at the time. And the way you know that is there's several ways of doing it. Like, you know, today we're all divided over one thing or another, whether it's politics, race, religion, if you like tomatoes and I like tomatoes, whatever it is, we're all divided over something, you know. And it's rare that there is something that can unify us and bring us all together, even if it's just for that moment or those 3 hours that were in the cinema. That is always to be welcomed, and that is one, hopefully, of the better things that will come out of this, that people, they have that shared experience. And when you have a shared experience, you can reach out and find other common ground with people who might not necessarily be, say, your natural allies or friends, you know, people who might be completely different, but if you have got something in common, it's always easier to build bridges. So hopefully there'll be that aspect of it. The other aspect, of course, is the direct impact on our culture. And I'm thinking of like quotable lines from the film, or using a Marvel reference. It's like my boss a few weeks ago, she was on the phone to someone and she was saying, I'm not asking the Avengers to assemble here, you know. It's things like that, or like saying, sorry, I'm not asking you to wield Thor's hammer, that sort of thing. So we will start to see, assuming it hasn't already, things like that. And I do like that, because that's what Star Wars did, you know. There's so many cultural references that we use without thinking are from that franchise, and from so many others as well. I mean, just think, say, game over, man, and you're doing an Aliens one, for instance. So yes, it's going to have a big impact, because this will be the biggest movie for a very long time. Maybe the end of phase 6 of Marvel will be as big, whatever they build towards over the next 10 years. But for now, this is the movie that is going to be the biggest one in our lifetimes, very likely. I can't think of anything that would top it. But then again, something is going to top it in due course. Maybe it will be those Avatar sequels. Who knows? But yes, I just want to say about the cultural impact that the Marvel movies have had. And it's good that it does bring people together, even if it's just in the cinema for a short time. Or you have those shared experiences that maybe someone you can't stand, they love these movies the same way that you do. Or they have the same favourite character that you do. And that gives you, as I said, some common ground to work with, and maybe you think that person isn't so bad after all. If they like this, how bad can they be? But yes, that was just what I want to say about the cultural impact and influence that it will have. Not just Avengers Endgame, which is going to stand above all others for a very long time, but also the wider MCU as a whole, and all of those characters that assembled in Endgame, that I certainly found myself a lot more invested in than I realised when that film was playing out. I cared, but I cared more than I thought I was going to. And that was one of the very pleasant surprises that I got from Endgame as well as all of the other great stuff in there. So yes, there you go, guys. That is just my thoughts on the cultural impact of the MCU and Avengers Endgame. What do you think? Do you think it will be that big of an effect going forward in our culture, or is it just going to be like another flash in the pan, and then something else will roll around, and then something else will roll around, and then something else will roll around? Let's hope not, because it's good to have defining moments. This is a defining moment on many levels, not just for the MCU, but for our culture. So many people grew up with the MCU in the way that I grew up with Star Wars, and I know the positive impact that had on me. I can only hope and imagine that the MCU's had that same impact on so many people, and many more people than Star Wars has had that impact on, given how many more films and how much more it's taken at the box office. That is all a positive impact on our society, hopefully. So yes, there you go, guys. Those were just my thoughts. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for a upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.